Hi there. Thanks for tuning in today to watch the next interview in the series for dog owners to discover the secrets of dog experts that will transform your relationship and create the best friend you've always wanted. Today, I am honored to have Rachel Thornton here. She is a certified professional dog trainer. She has lots of experience working and with dogs and training and mentorship programs, I believe too, right? So yeah, mentorship, but a lot's with service dogs, and that's just wonderful work too. And I really appreciate she's with the Cold Nose College Dog Trainers. And I'm so happy you're here. Thank you, Rachel, for
Thank
coming.
you. I am delighted to be here, and I so appreciate the opportunity, for sure.
Yeah, I'm here. We're here to try and help people understand their dogs more and connect and bond. And as I keep saying, every dog is waiting. They're waiting to connect with you. I love your service dog work. Service dogs are a big topic, and that I think is just growing. As we discussed, lots of regulations and changes that need to come in the future, but you've definitely made a big impression in that area for dogs and for people wanting dogs as a service dog. Do you want to let me know how you got involved in that? How did that jump into your life here?
I'll have to really work hard to keep this story short because it is a very complex, detailed story with a lot of emotional nuances. But my daughter was diagnosed with an illness that was shaking our world. And I remember a specific night after a particularly difficult event, sitting on the steps after she had actually had a huge seizure. And with my head in my hands, I remember saying, this is the 21st century. There has to be some mechanism. There has to be something that we can do to help alert us that this is going on or help prevent this. And I learned that dogs can do amazing things and that dogs could be trained to detect changes in body odor to alert to medical conditions. And we set out to get just that, a service dog to help my daughter. And unfortunately, we fell victim to a scam. I'm going to say it was the scam of scams. It was a wicked thing. We had raised a lot of money, our friends, our family, our neighbors, and we had to leave our home for a 3-week period to go through the training program offered by this organization. I'm a mom to 7 children. I homeschool. I don't leave my children lightly. And so for my daughter and I to leave home for 3 weeks, we were committed and we were excited. But what we experienced there was more heartbreak and devastation, the realization that wasn't what we thought it was going to be, that we weren't getting a service dog, but we had no choice but to stick it out and come home. And we immediately, when we got home, began the process of filing with the Attorney General's office with the goal of shutting this organization down so they would not be able to do this to someone else. And we were successful, but it was about a 3-year journey through that process. And along the way, we were hurt. I mean, we felt like we'd been run over and left on the road for dead. We just lost a lot of faith in humanity. The things that happened there, that anyone would do that in the first place, but there was emotional abuse beyond that. We actually sort of began to question, can dogs really do this? I mean, which part that we just experienced was a lie and where was there any truth? And so whereas I set out to find help for my daughter, I felt like I hurt her emotionally and we didn't have a service dog. But there were amazing trainers, experienced, credentialed, educated, whose niche was dogs that do scent work. And they came along beside us to evaluate our dog and make statements for the Attorney General for our case, and realized what had happened, and were not only experienced and knowledgeable and credentialed and educated, but they were compassionate. And these trainers came alongside us and helped us select an ideal puppy candidate and helped guide us toward the proper training. And I sort of coached my daughter and her dog, and nothing more. She did everything, and she had the best of the best service dogs. Amazing, one in a million. And through that process, we shared our story, we shared the process, and we helped others. I believe her service dog, Mr. Darcy, saved her life countless times, but also saved and impacted the lives of many, many others. We helped trainers learn what we were doing, and we helped individuals learn what we were doing so they could own or train. And that was at a time when this knowledge was not being freely shared. So that was a life changer for me because it affected the trajectory of my life. In my effort to validate what I was doing and not be the person that we had just been under in this service dog organization that was a scam. I did not want to be that person. So I began to pursue education in the dog realm. I went to through Karen Pryor Academy. Lori Lutt was my instructor, and I will always be thankful for the things that I learned from her and through Karen Pryor. But I am a learning junkie, and so every time one course ended, I was already looking ahead to see what else can I learn and how can I apply it. So I am a continual, perpetual student because there is always more to learn. And yeah, so that's how I got where I am. It started with service dogs, and it has expanded to really loving dealing with dogs with behavioral issues, separation anxiety, for sure, but just fear and some aggression. I'm fascinated by behavioral topics, and really super, super, super passionate about foundational behaviors. I think that I love to teach those basic, tedious foundational behaviors because I believe they become the keys to everything else, including a lot of problem solving.
So that, yes, I totally agree. I love your story. I'm so glad that we have somebody like you trying to put together, like good lives with service dogs and make it work. And it's just amazing. And I can't imagine how wonderful it would be to have that security for my family member if I did, with worrying about your daughter with seizures, and at least having an animal there that is going to alert you would be a huge relief, I'm sure.
I the things that dogs can do are amazing. I mean, arson detection. We have accelerant detection dogs. We have dogs that can detect various medical conditions. We obviously have guide dogs and hearing dogs, and it's just amazing what dogs can do. I don't think we've even begun to tap into their abilities. It fascinates me.
That's what I agree very much. I think that we're just learning. This is a wonderful time for dogs. There's a huge learning curve going
Yes.
on, and dogs are going to win from it. It's a wonderful thing. So since you mentioned foundation skills, can you explain a little more what you mean for for our listeners to understand foundation skills a little better?
I can. I really think that every dog deserves to know the basics, to learn the foundational skills. And I think that's where all training begins. When I have a 8-week-old puppy that's ready to start his life as a service dog candidate or service dog hopeful, we're going to work on foundational skills. I think for a sports competitive dog, for an obedience dog, for a therapy dog, and for the family pet, every dog needs foundational skills. I think those foundational skills become like keys that can unlock or help solve some problems that will crop up along the way. And I think they also become the building blocks for more complex skills. So if I have a puppy that is in consideration for being a service dog, we're working on foundational skills. And along the way, that puppy is going to begin to share himself with me so that I learn a little bit more about who he is and where he is best meant to serve. And he might not, when he gets to be a year and a half, if I were able to ask him in verbally, would you like to be a service dog? There's always a possibility that he would say, no, I really don't want to do that. And I can't ask him verbally, but I can be watching through the training process and see how he responds to various situations, how he recovers from startle, how eager he is to learn, how persistent he is. All of those things are the answers to that question. And so when he's a year and a half and he tells me, I don't want to be a service dog, I say that's okay, because you have these foundational skills and we can find an ideal for spot for you, and you're already started. My favorite training book, and probably the trainer who has most impacted me, is Sue Ailsby. She wrote The Training Levels, and she identifies these foundational behaviors in her book and divides them into levels, and within those levels divides them into steps, so that we begin at a point that is easy point of success, and we build on it slowly and incrementally, so we're always setting the dog up for success. And I just love that thought process. I think these foundational skills are skills like sit, down, come when called, focus, targeting. I think that's
Love
right up
targeting.
there. Absolutely my favorite behavior. My favorite behavior for sure. Go to mat, which is basically synonymous with crate.
That's a very healthy, that's a
Slide
very
that mat in
great
the
thing
crate.
to teach. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So those basic skills. If every dog had an introduction to those skills, then I think that relationships would be better, connections would be improved, and problems would be more readily solved by taking those skills that were already known and using them to problem solve.
Yeah. And adding
I,
sense.
I love I love teaching foundational behaviors. It's my favorite. And I know tricks are fun, and
Yep.
the what they like to say, the sexy part of service dog training is always that amazing alert. But I've had a service dog in training at Disney World all day long, and I hear people all around saying, oh, that dog is amazing, whoa, I wish my dog could do that. And when I consider what is the dog doing at that moment with me, the trainer, it is standing by my side, it is walking with a loose leash, it is laying down when I stop in line. That's not hard. Every dog could be able to do that, right? So those skills are really helpful. And I think we owe it to our dogs to give them those skills so they can be more successful in the home or in competition or in service dog therapy, dog work, whatever they're going to do. They need those skills.
Yeah. Yes. And you starting at home and starting right away and keeping it fun and positive and working at your dog's
Absolutely.
pace.
Now, when you say starting right away, I am dedicated to starting right away. I am a breeder. I don't breed a lot, but when I do, I am all in. And my litter of puppies will begin to learn those foundational behaviors while they're here with me. They begin to learn appropriate potty skills at 2 weeks old. They begin to learn to go into a crate and settle quietly alone. They begin to learn to come when called. They begin to learn to target my hand before they ever go home. And I think when I can send home a puppy that's got a good start, and and along with that puppy, send home a copy of Sue's book so that the new owner is equipped to do the same kind of training, the same kind of way I've been doing it with consistency, I think I have set them up for success. That's what I want to do. Set them up for success, both the puppy and the new owner. That's my goal.
And you're trained the service dogs, so you keep a lot of them to if it's
I
going to
will,
work out, I don't know exactly how you choose what, but
so
it takes
from
time.
from a litter, I might select one to stay here and begin training with me. And that dog might stay with me for 2 years and then go on to do incredible things for amazing people.
Save lives.
That's my goal.
And I know that there's talk of doing that. I think you mentioned that we were talking a little about that before, but I remembered I heard it recently on another show. Like they're talking about how much they want to use dogs for scenting, for even for sicknesses, and um,
Yes, yes,
their noses are amazing, and they like doing it. I mean,
yes.
I don't
They
know.
do. We when we're training a dog with scent work, we're equipping a dog to do dog behaviors. A lot. One of the problems, I think, one of the problem one of the roots of problems people have is that often we bring a dog into our home and we expect the dog to operate by human behaviors. There are dog behaviors that are dog behaviors. Dogs dig. Dogs sniff. And when we can create the opportunity for the dog to do dog behaviors, then that's a win. That's enrichment. And so when we give a dog a task to sniff something and we reward it for sniffing, it's like a double reward because it got rewarded for sniffing in the first place. And then we can give it, some high value reward as well. But just the act of freeing it to do what it was created to do is very rewarding in itself. So if you select the right breed, select the right breeding, that is hardwired to be a dog to use their nose. And then you say, would you like to use your nose to do this task? Then it's, again, setting a dog up for success. And that's fascinating to me.
And for connection, it connects them with you too right away.
Absolutely, because scent work is a hugely complex topic. And there are many people who know so much more than I do. But it's also a simple topic. It is also a very simple topic. You really just say to the dog, smell this and good things happen. Smell this and good things happen. And it doesn't take a lot of associations with the right dog, a lot of repetitions before associations are made and you can see an anticipatory response. The dog smells and you see a little drool, or the dog smells and you see a little bit more body wagging, and the dog's made a connection. It knows this smell means something good and you're on the right path. So yes, scent work is superbly complex and should be studied and could be studied on and on. But the average pet owner needs to understand it's also really easy. Just make a pairing. This is the odor I want you to know about, and here's something that you love, and here's the odor, here's the reward. Here's the odor, here's the reward, and you just make an association. Dogs learn by association. And for the owner, it's so exciting to do that. So one of the things I do with my dogs that's just a fun game that any owner could do is using foundational behaviors. I have my dog wait. That's my cue. Don't move. I got to do something. Wait. And I show him his toy. I let her smell it. I throw it in the air, I squeak. I make it look fun. And then I walk out of the room, put it somewhere, and I come back and say, gotta find it. And she goes all searching all through the house, looking here and looking there, and you can hear her nose working and her tail's wagging. You can see she loves not just finding her toy, which is her favorite toy. She definitely loves that, but she loves the act of seeking, the act of searching. She's energized by it and she gets fatigued by it. It's a great way to wear down a dog, like my labs are field line sporting labs. You don't wear them down. And if you throw the ball, have them retrieve, you actually build energy, but you get them doing some scent work and their brain's going and their nose is going and their seeking system's activated, you can wear them down a little bit. You can see fatigue when it begins to set in. Yes. But what a great way for a owner and their dog to connect, allowing the dog to use his nose to do something fun, no pressure, no competition, nobody's judging you, just you and your dog having fun in your home. You're equipping the dog to do a dog thing appropriately in your home. And it can be a problem solver too. So once we have a dog having fun doing that, we can redirect a dog with that very fun skill. And yeah, I just love it. Love it.
Wonderful. It is wonderful, and I love it because I actually did hide and seek earlier today. They like that. I got going.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get away from them. They're pretty fast.
We would actually, when we were training, it actually became a family chore, this training the service dog for my daughter. His name was Mr. Darcy, by the way. And we owe so much to him. We lost him about a couple months ago, and that was just a hard thing for all of us, but he was the best of the best. And we would have him go inside our house and wait with one of my daughter's siblings. And we would hide my daughter in crazy places. We'd hide her up a tree and in the bed of a pickup truck, and she's not up a tree in the bed of a pickup truck kind of gal. So we were hiding her in places that he wouldn't have associated with her. And we would release him and watch him begin the work of picking up on that scent and hooking around. And oh, it's just a beautiful thing. And he loved it and she loved it. And we knew that we could then pair that pattern of finding her with the odor that we needed him to detect pursuant to her medical condition. And that we had a dog that would even be more rewarded by that odor because we had added the odor to that game that was so much fun. So, we love just building games, having fun builds confidence on both sides for the owner and for the dog. The owner is so proud. Look at what my dog can do. And the dog's like, this is the most fun ever. Look at what my person lets me do. So I love those kinds of things.
Yeah, we get to do this. They love it. Oh my. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I use a lot of scent games and stuff, but it's a little bit different than that, right? I guess in the sense, right? Because I like put a bunch of treats in the snuffle mat ideas. Like they just love using their nose, hiding
Yes.
things.
I have a beautiful home and lots of room for my labs. My husband says this is like lab paradise.
I
And
bet.
I will often do a big kibble scatter in my yard. And I let the dogs out, their heads go down, their tails start wagging, and they start collecting. They are searching for their breakfast. And it keeps them far busier than putting it in a silver bowl. My dogs could inhale their food in seconds, never taste it, never chew it. But you hide it out there in the grass behind the trees and send them seeking and searching and gathering and doing dog behavior. That's enrichment. And it's very rewarding to the dog. And it's very fun for the owner to watch and just enjoy their dog doing dog things.
It's like, yeah, it's kind of like just being. You're just being with the dog while he's doing something he's actually made to do
Yep.
and to use, and
Yep.
and so much fun.
Often I am working with someone who has a behavioral challenge with their dog. Maybe their dog is nervous around people or other dogs, and they understand they've got to add distance and decrease the intensity. And they go out and they do this and go out and do this. But along the way, they're working so hard at it and they're getting so frustrated. And the dog begins to sort of see every dog or every kid or every person, whatever, as another problem, as another, here we go again. Oh,
That's
like
cool.
it's sort of like a joy sucker. And that is part of that is part of the solution. That is just a sliver of a glimpse at a process that is needed. But I think also what is often needed for that person that calls me initially is to say, I understand that your dog really struggles with other dogs on leash, for example. What does your dog really like? What do you enjoy doing with your dog? And I like to just challenge them to stop seeing every dog on a leash as a lesson. You gotta learn it every day, all the time. And let go of it for a minute. And let's go have fun with your dog. Let's go somewhere and do something your dog loves to do in a place that he likes to do it that brings joy to you. And you sort of clear the palate. Yes, we do still need, that doesn't in itself fix this problem, but it does give a chance for us to allow all that stress to dissipate because we're not constantly working on it. And then once we can get to a better place in the relationship, in the connection, then we can go back to some of the problem solving stuff, but try to incorporate it with a little bit of fun so that everybody's not quite so stressed about the stress.
Yes, well, that is the other big issue that gets in the way is how people, the stress over it all, and the fear of looking
And
not looking
it
good
is
and
stressful. I mean, I've had some dogs with some issues, and so I don't make light of that. It is stressful. I work a lot with dogs with separation anxiety. That is very stressful. You basically become a prisoner in your own home while you work through this problem, because you're committed to not leaving the dog alone, because we want to set him up for success. But it is a lot of stress, and it's just nice for, maybe I even take the trainer to come along and tap you on the shoulder and say, what does your dog like to do? What do you like to do? What do you like to watch him do? Let's go do that for a little while and just enjoy your dog. I think helping owners and their dogs to have more fun and less stress. That's my goal.
Yes. Yep. Get rid
More
of
fun and less
the
stress.
guilt or any of the feelings, and just kind of live in the now. Be in the now.
Yep.
Mindset is a big thing, you know,
It is.
to
It
me
is.
for sure. And letting people know that it's okay and it's understandable. I always say, you're a mirror of me. These things have
Yes.
happened, and the feelings are very real. But let's find a way to forget them, like you say, and just play for a while and not think about, is it going to work, or my dog's never going to walk on the leash nicely, or come when I
We
call.
do
Let's just
have to
have
come
fun.
back to it eventually. We do have to solve those problems, but
Hmm.
first we've got to clean out the relationship and get on the same page and just have a little fun together to relax, so we're not bringing stress into a stressful situation.
Yeah, get rid of the bag. It's kind of a baggage. And the
It
dog
is.
isn't,
It sure is.
the dog is willing to be in the now. Usually they are.
That's right.
I could be in trouble. I'm hearing some barking.
All good.
There was one other thing I wanted to mention. Any other advice that you would have? Because you mentioned your other wonderful experiences being a mother, and we talk so much, and I truly do believe and think about dogs as bringing a child into your home, but not one that's meant to be in a human home. And any idea, suggestions to help people just understanding their dog is like a child, to be helped into their life, into their world.
There are similarities and there are differences. I think that we don't do the relationship justice when we think of our dog as a child. Um, they are our responsibility. They are our companions. They're not our children. They're not little humans. So I think we as owners need to learn how to think, how dogs learn, and how dogs communicate. Dogs, I said earlier, I'll ask my dog, do you want to be a service dog? And he'll say, no, I don't think so. That's facetious. Dogs do not talk like that. But as I said, dogs share with us, dogs communicate with us all the time. And if we can learn to listen by watching their body and reading their body language, then that is very helpful. So I think, bringing a new dog into the home, you need to learn dog, and instead of expecting the dog to know human. And I think you need to immediately begin to think, what are my goals and how do I get there? And you get there by foundational behaviors, and you get there through training and management. They work together. While you're training these foundational behaviors with a puppy or with a new dog, with a shelter dog who might not have ever lived in a home, you need to manage the environment so that you limit the dog's opportunity to practice those behaviors you don't want. If we have a dog and we bring it into our home, I don't know, and a dog chews a shoe, we really don't want the dog to chew shoes. We'd like to teach the dog not to chew shoes. That process will take some time. When we train, we're impacting behavior in the future. When we manage, we're impacting the behavior now. So until our dog learns, shoes aren't the things I want you to chew, we need to make sure he doesn't have an opportunity to chew shoes. We need to
Yes.
manage the environment. So, management acts on behavior now because you're limiting the dog's opportunity to practice the behavior you don't want him to practice. And I think if people understand how to communicate, how dogs communicate, if people adjust their expectations by managing the environment as they train those foundational behaviors, I think those things are a good start. You threw that one at me. I'm trying to think if that
It's all right.
would be my answer, but
Wasn't
I
trying to.
definitely think that's okay. I that's my advice. You've got to be able to understand what your dog's communicating with you. You've got to be able to set the environment up to be an environment that's conducive to learning. And that means removing some things or putting barriers around some things, And then as you have those barriers, you need to be able to be training so that you are in the process, just like we are with our children, of always moving the barriers out. As that my husband would always tell our children that discipline is your path to freedom. So as our dogs learn more, then they get more and more freedom. And so as they get more training, we can remove some of the management.
Yes, and the
I think
more
that
you,
I
the
think
more,
that answers your question.
yeah, no, it does, it does. And the more the more you learn together and to learn how to read each other, the easier it is to manage those things. I mean, yes, there's
Yes.
always the management at the moment, and safety is, gosh, the most important thing. But to realize that your dog does want to do it, the dog does want to fit into your world, it just doesn't know how. And if you,
Yes.
the more
Yes.
you communicate and learn, the more, like, I always think of my daughter when she brought home this dog from a shelter. This is a few years ago, and I had broken my foot at the time, so I was like, no help. And I remember she phoned me. She's like, the dog's on the table. I'm like, the dog's probably never been in a house,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's just and it's not doing it to be mean or anything. It's just probably thinks
No,
it's like
no.
another rock or whatever.
And if we can just reframe our thinking sometimes. I have a dog that I love dearly, and she when her owners are away, she comes to stay with me. And one time when she came to stay with me and I left, when I returned, she was standing on my kitchen table looking out the window. Now, that's not really a behavior I wanted to have. I know it's not a behavior her
It's
owners
funny.
wanted to have. I hope they're not listening. But my thought was, how creative. What good problem solving. She wanted to see out the window because she heard me come in the driveway, and this was the path to see out the window to get a better view. Some good problem solving. Now, my job is to manage that, or to recreate that, reconfigure that so that she doesn't choose that option next time, while we have a discussion about paws off the table, please.
So funny. They do things, and that's true, they problem solve. But we can't really, you can't punish them for doing that. You can just help them and show them other ways to do things. And
Unfortunately, you can, and people do. But you and I
yes,
know that's not the best response. The best response is to look at yourself. Yeah, look at yourself and say, what can I change about the environment? How can I train this dog so that in the next opportunity, this isn't the choice the dog makes?
yeah, I know, you're already making me think, boy, I'd be like, okay, we have to get something near that window so the dog could look out the window. I have so many things in the windows for my little dogs, right? So they like to get up there and look out.
This was a golden retriever. It was a big dog.
Big dog, yeah, yeah. I had a
she
feeling you
didn't
were talking,
she
and
did not belong on the table.
and I don't
But
want my dogs on the table.
no,
Don't
no,
want that
none of us
either.
do. But in the moment, that was the path she found to meet the goal she had, which was to see out the window because she heard me coming.
She was happy mom was home.
Yep, yep, yep.
It's awesome. It's a lot of great information for sure for dog owners. That will help, just to connect. Like we say, all dogs are waiting. Your dog wants to connect with you. And I love the scent work ideas. It's just such a fun thing that you can do. It's just scatter is one that's been mentioned several times, to just,
Mhm.
you're getting somewhere the dog's not sure of, a play, do a little scatter and let the dog find a relaxing
Yep.
state of mind and be with you.
And the gathering and the eating, that is in itself, the sniffing, that is in itself relaxing. And also, if we try that and our dog does not nose down and begin to sniff and eat, that dog has just clearly communicated, this is too hard for me. Can you help me? And the answer is yes, we can add some distance. Yes, we can do this somewhere else. So again, our dogs are always communicating. And I think one of the ways we can have better relationship is to learn how to listen when they're communicating with us.
Yeah, take the time. And it pays off here. Come here. I appreciate your time so much. I got one bugging me here. One guy, yes, he's my little guy who likes to get on the video because he says, Mom, you've been sitting too long. He's a good boy. Yeah, you can't see he's too black, eh? You see his little eye.
There you go. You can see that.
He's a good boy. Um, yeah, I really appreciate your time. This is wonderful. This is a lot of great help. And yeah, I'm going to finish this for today, but I will, thank you so much for everybody who's watching. And thank you to Rachel Thornton.
Well, thank you.
Lots
I
of,
very much enjoyed chatting with you. Thank you for
yeah,
the
lots of
opportunity for sure.
awesome.